me see the tablet one more time when we sit down. Gotta get a new pair of glasses.
Yeah.
I do. I'm like, man, these things are gone through the ringer. I'm looking all crooked. Might have to go blind for this interview.
You're looking crooked, right?
Yeah, no, you look good. Mine are all freaking bent sideways, yeah.
It looks like it's a little low on your nose,
yeah,
maybe, so
you're not asymmetrical.
You're not looking through the center of the lens.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna go blind, even more blind than I am.
Yeah.
I need to get LASIK. Is what I need.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is you nearsighted?
Yes, very much so. It's gotten progressively worse since I was like 12 years old.
Want this one placed?
Do you want it on your tie? Do you want it on right here on your neck?
Whatever you.
I think we should put it. Tie could be good.
Okay.
Just so his neck, if
Whatever
he
you
moves,
want.
his neck doesn't rub against just no friction. Yeah, that's cool. Maybe even a little higher.
This would be best for audio, right here.
Okay. Trust the professional.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a little backup ambiental sound.
Do you want to listen to something? We'll say testing 1, 2, 3.
Professional. Okay, good stuff. Even I forget all this. Clap, clap. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Yeah, these freaking glasses are killing me.
Check for me. Testing 1, 2.
Go for it.
Testing
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Out.
Check, check. Test. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, nice deep voice for the audio.
Good to meet you, Mr. Richard Roberts. Yeah. Put these down. Yeah, it looks good to me. I'll have a little bit of water. You want any more water?
No thanks. I have a bottle here.
Alright. Just in case.
Oh, you want my daughter said she wants me to take a picture with you and me.
Let's do it.
2 minutes.
Here. You know. Oh, you'll do it. Okay. Let's see. That is okay. It's on WhatsApp. Just take a picture and then. Perfect.
Alright, there we go.
And then agree to sign.
Yeah. Thanks.
Right there.
So I'm impressed you really get around, man.
I know, I need to slow down.
With Japan, India, Rio de Janeiro, or something. I'm not sure.
We've been to Europe a lot recently. Well, where do we keep ending up? Been to India too many times in my life, I'll tell you that much. Lately it's been mostly domestic here in the States, which is nice. But you forget how big the continental U.S. really is.
Oh,
from coast
huge.
to coast.
Yes,
brutal.
huge.
Yeah.
That funny story. We had a lot of Indian employees in pharmaceutical manufacturing because
Smart people, yeah.
smart, and they apparently teach industrial pharmacy there as a main subject. Maybe other engineering also.
Yeah.
So here I am in the company as an immigrant, Indian immigrant. He's working, running a tablet machine or doing the blending department, hourly wage, and he wants to invite me to his daughter's wedding.
Where is this in India?
No, he was having the wedding.
Oh, this is in the States. Okay.
He's an citizen, I said.
Okay.
So, but he's Indian born and bred.
Got it.
So he sends me an invitation, and his swastika is all around it.
Oh, okay. Got
Right.
it. It means what? Peace and harmony or something?
Right, and the Hindu religion is peace. So
I've seen that all over Japan as well.
it's a little tone deaf, but you know, and then
Sure.
it's sending me all these swastikas. Where am I going? So I opened up, and it's like, to the most honorable doctorate.
That's pretty funny. I've seen it on a lot of grave sites in Japan as well. I was like,
Yes.
man, that is, I forget, it's a bastardized symbol, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Many symbols are.
it's fair. That's a funny story, though.
Yeah.
He surely did not mean that, I'm sure.
That's the thing.
Yeah. So the most honorable doctor I know, friend, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, right, yes.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be our greatest honor and pleasure if we get the honor of it. I don't
Where is he from in India?
Gujarat.
Is that south, north?
No, I'm not sure.
India's a complex place as well.
Yeah, it's like 1.2 billion people.
I don't know if we'll ever officially know. I think they're trying to conduct the census, but it's virtually impossible. I think they hired 1 million people to attempt the most up-to-date census.
That's insane.
They're getting like beaten down by the
Wow.
the locals are like, get out of here. the task, though, right? That many people.
Yeah.
You happy with the framing?
Yeah, framing's good. We jump into it.
Rolling.
Make
Oh,
sure
hot.
your guys' stuff's on too. Everything good?
Alright, perfect.
Alright. You good to go?
I'm good to go, always.
Alright, when you're ready, Pasha, you give me the rolling, we can jump straight into it.
Nice.
I'm a little bit blind, so if I'm looking left or right on you,
No problem.
don't even mind it.
The filter there is.
Is that still too
makes
bright?
it much better. No, it makes it much
Okay,
better.
we
Much
can tone it down a little bit.
I think I may change my lighting to put a filter on
Let me
like
just
that.
put this wall down too. I'm gonna put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really am blind. I'm like farsighted now too.
Rolling.
So, I mean,
Functionally blind at this point, yeah.
as you get older, you're not that age yet.
I know.
People go from nearsighted to becoming more farsighted.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump into it in the interest of your valuable time here. Who am I here with? You can introduce yourself, throw in some accolades, and we'll go from there.
Well, I don't like to get.
I'm here with, or I can say them for you.
I don't like to do self-accolade. I mean,
Okay. I'm here with Dr. Richard Roberts. You sold the pharmaceutical company for $800 million. You were the vice chairman of the Israel Advisory Committee for Donald Trump in 2016.
yes.
You're what, a key relationship for Trump for Jewish relations in general? Tell me more.
Not anymore.
Okay.
When I was on the when I was vice chairman of the Israel Advisory Committee
Yeah.
for the Trump campaign, that was 2016.
Okay.
I actually wrote about half of the policies of the campaign towards the Middle East. That was a lot of work. But once the campaign ended, I was done. I was out. But I was offered an ambassadorship. I forget already, Norway or Sweden or something. But I don't want to leave my home. I have a whole life here, so I wasn't interested. A friend of mine got appointed by Trump as the ambassador to India. He was, since Trump got elected the second time, he was head of hiring people for Trump's staff in the White House. Great guy. He used to be a communications director for Senator Rand Paul, who, by the way, I took to Israel, and that's another story.
Okay.
So that was my role in the campaign, and I donated majorly to Trump in 2016, also 2020. I didn't donate in 2024 because I thought he was going to win. I thought, Kamala Harris was just such a terrible candidate that and I saw the way that the country was, and I felt the way the mood was going. I felt pretty sure that Trump was going to win. So I tried to give money where I think I'm going to do good, going to help, and I thought he didn't need it.
And you're still a prominent GOP donor for, name a few other names. Who have you helped and their
Well, I've had
political campaign?
here, Senator Lindsey Graham, lots of senators, congressmen, Mike McCall, who was chairman of the Intelligence Committee or Armed Services Committee.
Okay.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. When I had him, I've been doing martial arts for the last 41 years.
I saw your dojo. It was cool.
Thanks. So, for the last 8 years, I've been training with George Sullivan, who was a UFC fighter. He had 7 fights in UFC, and then of course, many fights in other smaller like feeder leagues until he got to the UFC. So I had George here also, and when I was introducing everybody, I had George at the head table along with Chairman McCall. I said, Chairman McCall, I want to let you know something. You have the CIA, the NSA, the U.S. military, but we have George Sullivan. And he said, you're probably safer.
There we go. Who else has sat in this seat right here? You're throwing a lot of big names. I hear Trump. Who else?
Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul's been here 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
Scott Walker, when he was governor of Wisconsin, then when he ran for president, a separate trip here. So many people. I mean, I can go back to Arlen Specter. Do you know who that was?
No.
Yeah, he's passed away. Senator Arlen Specter. Oh, you know with the Kennedy assassination investigation, the single bullet theory?
Okay.
You've heard of that?
Yes.
So he was the lead prosecutor or attorney, whatever, on the congressional committee investigating the Kennedy assassination, and he came up with the single bullet theory, which I think is a terrible theory, but that's
Okay.
just to give you an idea.
Prominent names.
He became a senator. He was a senator for about 35 years. he was known like a Lindsey Graham. Every king, president, prime minister, everyone in the world, in power, knew him well. Matter of fact, I'm not funny, but when I had lunch with him once in the Senate office building in D.C., this is now before Assad in Syria murdered 500,000 to 1 million of his own people, which showed the world how brutal, some of us who were following it already knew that he was. Our inspector said to me, he met with Assad, and Assad said that if Israel will give back the Golan Heights, then Assad will give peace to Israel. Now, the Syrians under Assad, or his father, used to be up on the Golan Heights, and they would shoot rockets down onto Jews, Israelis, who were plowing their fields on their farms. So Israel was not likely to take that deal. But, so Senator Speck is taking the word of this leader who was a brutal, individual who went on then in a civil war to kill 500,000 to 1 million of his own people. And I thought that was a certain naivete on behalf of Senator Specter. But he said, I'm not pushing Israel to make that concession, but just so you know, that is what he says.
Okay, so you know a lot of powerful, wealthy people. I'm just a YouTuber, and you reached out to me. Why did you reach out to me via email?
Because you posted that, first of all, you did your video at Curious Joel in New York, or Curious Joel, in English, in New York, and got a lot of Orthodox Jews very, very upset. And by the way, if you want to go over it, I did go through that video, and I can show you where the things you said, got people upset and try to give you information.
Yeah, we'll work our way towards that. But why did you reach out to me?
Right, but towards the end of the video, you saw the altruism in the community, and you seem to respect that. So first of all, I can tell you're very bright.
Yeah.
You're just flat out very bright.
I appreciate that. Likewise, you're giving me an explanation of molecular biology before this. So
Right.
I'm a little out of my league. But thank you for having me.
Doing receptors and
Giving me a nightmare callback to AP biology. I got a little bit nervous in my chair.
After this video, there's going to be a pop quiz.
Okay. I may fail.
So,
but why reach out to me? Right?
So, since you're very intelligent, I can see you're very, very intelligent, and since I could see that you seem to me to have a sincere desire to actually get the real facts, because if you were just bigoted against us, you wouldn't be struck or commenting on the altruism in our community and the unity and the helping each other and setting up ambulance services and Haverim, which goes out and helps people with flat tires or
Sure.
to get their home or whatever it is, which is all done for free in the volunteer fire department. You appreciated that, so I feel
there's some admirable qualities in what I saw.
Right. So, and I think you just didn't see, when you're talking to a guy on the street,
Sure.
you don't necessarily get, for example, it's in my notes here on your video, but you walk on the street and you say, I can't find anybody who's worked. I can't find any Orthodox Jews who are working.
Yes.
Like, I don't know what they do, except you already were told that they work mostly in offices or businesses, so they're not out on the street. They're in their offices, they're in their businesses, they're working.
Sure, you're saying some of them were working in, let's say New York or something like that, but I'm referring to some of the people on the street that I asked, what do you do for a living? And they said, I study Torah while my wife works, right?
Right.
That's not to say all of them don't work, but many of them told me they in fact didn't work and they studied Torah for the next X amount of years.
She's saying many of them. I think I heard in a video there's 40,000 people in Curious Joel?
I think approximately 44,000, if not more.
44,000.
Right? Rapidly growing.
And you spoke to 20 people around on the street.
Sure, perhaps an insufficient
who
sample size.
who obviously
Sure.
are not the ones working, because if they're working, they wouldn't have been on the street. They'd be working.
Sure, but it belies a pretty interesting question, right? How do they afford to raise such large families? How do they afford to study full time? And how does a single income household, let's say the wife is working in childcare, how do they afford to have such a large family?
Great question.
Yeah, inform me.
First, I have to bifurcate your question.
Okay.
There's two groups. One is the ones who are learning full time, and the others are the ones that are working. So for the ones that are learning full time, and this is especially true about Hasidim,
Okay.
that's a Hasidic group up there. We're not There are some.
You're Orthodox, for clarity, right?
We're all Orthodox Jews.
Not Hasidic.
We're not Hasidic.
Okay.
We would be called Litvish or Yeshivish
Got it.
as a community. But we're all Orthodox Jews. It's a little drink, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm already getting parched. Too much Red Bull, kids.
Your camera guy told me not to have the cup on the table, so.
Oh, okay. Then is this good?
Yours is tiny.
Do you want okay, bifurcate the question.
Okay, so-
How do these people afford 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids,
Right.
full-time students studying the Torah and the Talmud, while wife goes to work?
Right.
Right.
So-
Obviously, they've admitted, and we can look at some government statistics to see a large anomalous level of welfare recipients in use, right? And I don't think that's an inherently bad or good thing,
Right.
but it's important to clarify what's a fact, right?
Okay, so well, I don't know if it's anomalous or not. That's a third topic to address.
Sure.
So let me just try to bifurcate it first.
Take it away. Trifurcate. Okay.
Right. Well, bifurcate the people that are living with money, and then that aid is another, and whether it's anomalous, given national statistics, is a separate story.
Sure.
So how do they support themselves?
Tell me.
So for Hasidim, almost all of them go out to work. However, when they first get married, for the first 2 or 3 years, they'll learn Torah full time. The wife will work. They don't have any children yet. Maybe they have 1 kid or 2 children at the most that they can put into a play group or something, something like that, while the wife works. And then they'll get help from their family. And if their income qualifies, which it probably does, for financial aid, they'll get financial aid. Which gets to another topic as to if the laws are set up with certain criteria. In Minnesota, the Somalis, you have all kinds of fraud going on. You didn't show any fraud. These are just people.
I never used the F word.
Right.
To be clear here.
Right.
We talked about welfare use, abuse, exploitation, overuse.
So
it's all subject to interpretation, though, right?
Well,
that's all perspective.
Well, come on. Abuse and exploitation have negative connotations. If the laws are set up for what the criteria are to get certain financial aid, and someone falls into it, then why is it abusive or exploitative to get it? And I guess that because if you want to go to the statistics, there's 99 million Americans that get some form of government help. So, and I've seen your other videos. I haven't seen you.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of. Well, you go to a lot of these black communities and inner cities across America. Very similar situation.
But I haven't seen you asking them if they're either getting it and criticizing them for it. And as a matter of fact,
the primary distinction being the size of the families that I found particularly interesting, right? A lifestyle where you are ordained by God to essentially accept His blessings that are children, right? And to have as large of a family as possible. And they don't have the financial access to provide for that on their own accord, so they're reliant on government programs. That's sort of built into the formula by which they raise their families.
Right. So I think
that's quite unique to see anyone having 8, 9, 10 kids in 2026.
I think the government likes people to have children, and likes, I don't know if they want to say it, but I think in America likes when it's not a single mother home, but it's a mother and a father, and they're married, and they're raising children together. I think that's a positive thing for America. I wish we'd have it more across a lot of different groups. Matter of fact, I feel like America is in danger if evangelical Christians won't have more babies and raise them in with the moral values that they bring. I think that's a key to saving America. I don't want to go off topic.
But why must it be subsidized by the taxpayer? Should there not be a cap on the amount of children who are eligible for these? Because certain groups will use these programs disproportionately higher and to a vastly higher ceiling than, let's say, I would, right? Let's say I was indigent, I had 2 kids. I'm not going to have 10 kids, right? I'm not going to use the program the same way in which these Hasidic Jews are in Kiryas Joel.
Well, you're not going to use the program the same way. The same way. You're going to live a different life.
Sure.
One thing you had said in your videos, again, one of my comments in your videos is you said you're using government money to support their lifestyle. Well, who doesn't? Whatever their lifestyle.
But that is a fact, right?
What is a fact?
So many people said that is anti-Semitic, but it's a fact, right?
What?
People are using government. I'd say it's inherently a bad thing. I don't think it's inherently a good thing. I think it just is. I disagree with it, but that is a fact. Right?
So if you disagree with it, you need to vote to get people to change the laws.
If I had political power, I would change it right now.
The laws are structured.
Yeah.
All laws are structured in ways to hopefully be incentives for what the government wants people to do, or to help people that are in need. So we didn't even do the first branch of the bifurcation yet.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get back to that. So the ones that are newly married, I don't want to leave your topic. I just
Yeah.
Okay.
We can jump around a
We
little bit.
can
We'll
up
try
like
to
going tangents and tangents. Among the Hasidim, the ones that are newly married generally will learn for 2 or 3 years, and then they'll go to work. During that 2 or 3 years, the wives work at jobs. Frequently, they'll work in businesses. They'll work in medical billing, any office jobs. And then once they have more than, let's say, 2 kids, then she really needs to be full time as a mother. And then the boy has to leave. A boy compared to my age, as a boy, has to leave learning full time and work. But the other thing to know is that among Orthodox Jews, Hasidim, or Litvish, Yeshivish, we don't have a lot of the expenses that the people in the secular world do. How many subscriptions do you have for video services?
I don't own a $10,000 hat. I don't own a $2,000 Stroimel.
That's not an answer to the
Sure,
question.
but there are different luxuries being used, right?
No.
You don't think so?
How many video services do you have subscriptions to?
Irrelevant, right?
What's the cost
of your wardrobe as a Hasidic Jew? I'm curious as well.
So I'm trying to show is the expenses that a secular person has. They'll have a smartphone with a very expensive plan. Most Orthodox Jews, not me, most Orthodox Jews have a little flip phone.
I saw that.
I'm going to make up a number now. I don't know.
Yeah.
The smartphone plan is $80 or $100 a month. The flip phone is $10 a month.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number. You know what I'm trying to say, right? Maybe
it.
It's $150 a month versus $15. I don't know, but they don't have that expense. Going on fancy vacations.
Sure.
Most Orthodox Jews don't go on fancy vacations. What else do you spend money? You go to bars. People go to bars. They're spending money.
The difference is this is my money that I've earned, not taxpayer-funded programs, right?
Let's go back. So
and I think the expenses are the family. The family is the expense I'm referring to, which I think is great if you can afford to have some.
So
kids.
Most Orthodox Jews most Orthodox Jews are struggling financially, and the way that they make it is if the ones once they stop learning full time, then they're working. But there are some people that learn full time forever.
So there's a certain percentage that learn forever, never contribute to the economy.
Small percentage, and small percentage.
Okay, you're saying it's
real major scholar.
irrelevant almost.
Yeah. So in terms of the total economic impact, if you're talking about. So, anyways, we have the government makes criteria for getting financial aid.
Sure.
And if someone qualifies for that criteria, I'm not sure why when the Jew does it, Orthodox Jew does it, you're calling it exploitive or taking advantage, but you don't say that to all the other people and populaces that don't have it.
Well, I've never seen anything of this scale to where the families are this large and it's sort of baked into their strategy of child rearing. The assumption is they will, in fact, use all these programs to the maximum ability. The code is written as it is. Right. They're going to use it. It's sort of their argument. I'm like, fair play. You are using it. They would use it
to the degree that legally they're allowed to have it, and they need it.
Yeah.
And I think the government.
Well, they need it because they've chosen to have 10 children. Let's say, right?
So are you against having children? Having a lot of children?
I'm pro-children. That's great. I think you should be able to afford it. And I want to make an important distinction between the Amish, let's say, and the Hasidic Jews in Kiryas Joel. You tell me what's the difference.
Oh, there are tons of differences.
Most importantly, as it relates to finance, though, the Amish pay for themselves. They're self-sustaining. They're not reliant on welfare programs funded by the taxpayer.
So when I saw that video where you went into Detroit, into basically the black ghetto, and so many people there on crack, I didn't see you question anybody as to if they're on programs and what they use the money for. So why do you question the Orthodox Jews who are doing what I think America wants? We have
to have 10 kids on welfare.
We have marriages. Let's say their marriages, husband and wife, divorce there is about 0.5%, versus 50%, whatever it is in the secular world. The children are,
Sure.
and by the way, they're not eating well, right? They're eating mostly like carbs. They're not getting lots of meat and chicken, and they're not eating fancy foods. They're not wearing fancy clothes. They do have this religious thing about the strimal, which is
Squat.
for and you saw a $10,000 one that'll generally be bought by
Sure.
by a well-to-do. Because
It's a minimum $1,500 though, from what I've seen. Right?
Could be, and
But
it's
you're smart, it's a minor luxury, a lifetime cost,
one-time
right?
expense.
I get it.
Lasts for 20 years, literally for 20 years.
Yeah, but personal funds and how those
So
are
you see that,
allocated
so-
towards subscriptions, let's say to Netflix, is fundamentally different between 10 kids on welfare until they're 18 years old, and
So
housing assistance, let's say, in addition to that.
No, that's not what I said. They're the after the couple has 2 or 3 children, the
Yeah.
man goes out to work. Now, let me finish, because we're on one
Yeah.
arm of the bifurcation. So I'll give
Take
you
it
the
away,
other
take it away,
parts
yeah.
of it. So the man goes out to work, and he's got to start lower down and try to work his way up. He will probably get government help to the degree that he qualifies for it. He will get help from family, his parents, her parents, who obviously been working for 30 years, 40 years, and have very little. Like my wife's father, he was a rabbi in the yeshiva, and he had cashed in his life insurance policy to help pay for the kids. I mean, they really don't have anything. I'm not like that. I'm a medical doctor, doctor of biophysics.
But to clarify, he didn't have anything because he chose to study, the Torah his whole life?
No, he was a
And be
teacher.
rabbi?
No, he was a teacher. He was a teacher.
Why didn't he receive some sort of payment as a teacher?
Oh, he did, but I don't think he took government programs, as far as I know. What I'm saying is, he lived in, maybe not abject poverty,
Yeah.
but not well to. I mean, pretty far down there economically. But all the kids were educated. They were all clothed. They all behaved well. And as you noted, in our communities, there's no violence.
I thought that was great. I felt very safe. I knew I would not get jumped. I knew I wouldn't get punched. That was nice.
There's almost no drug use, except we do have some of the secular world creeping in now to our values.
Sure.
So that is starting. You don't even hear cursing. And I'm not saying you won't find one crazy guy, right? But we don't curse. We don't gamble. Now, there are some that go to a casino and they're doing absolutely the wrong thing.
Sure.
And am I saying I do everything right? We actually believe nobody can do everything right. We are always striving, all of us, all striving to try to do better all the time. And if we fall,
You're deflecting from what we're discussing.
Okay, so I'm not deflecting at all. Tell me what it is you. So,
what are you arguing? That I have an obligation as a taxpayer to fund you and how many kids you want to have? If you want to have 30 kids, that's just how it is.
I'm arguing that if the law is set up to have certain criteria for people, and it's according to children, then people who qualify for it, legally qualify for it,
100%.
with no fraud at all, are entitled to get it.
And you'll give me the credit of acknowledging I never said that was fraudulent.
Yes, that's right. That's
You're
right.
using
Well,
the
I know.
program.
I wouldn't. I'm not sure about that.
I think it's exploitative by nature, though.
Right. I mean, you said the title of your
It's here the folder, yeah.
right. The title of your YouTube video was this town is invaded by welfare addicted Jews.
Would you prefer welfare dependent, welfare
Yes.
alliance, welfare
addicted?
Is
Are people
something
addicted?
you cannot live without?
Are
Right?
people addicted to gasoline?
Sure, definitionally.
I don't know if I wouldn't call that addiction. These are things that are.
Transportation's a non-negotiable, which for you guys or the Hasidic Jews in Kiryas Joel, 10 kids.
Well, what I'm
It's a
saying is,
non-negotiable, right? To have a family as large as possible, as large as God allows.
as long as there's no medical issues, as long as the woman can
Sure.
emotionally and physically handle it.
And that's great. Why don't wealthy
But let's go back to
philanthropists like
it.
yourself?
Why don't wealthy people like me?
Why don't you throw all your money at them and help sustain their lifestyle? Why do I have to take a cut of my paycheck to go towards Kiryas Joel's insulated Hasidic Jewish community that has nothing to do with me? I'll never get anything out of.
Is that your
There's
main-
zero upside for them to exist for me. I don't get anything out of it. They won't contribute to my life in any way ever.
So
Right?
no.
How will they contribute to my life?
Right. You know what? Let's go back. So Jews at all levels. Yeah.
The audio.
Lose your phone.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought I took
No worries.
turned the ringer off. Let's see. No, it's the audio. The video.
Take a minute. Yeah.
No, it's fine. Okay, good.
Jews of all levels where you
Right.
last off.
So, Orthodox Jews at all levels of economic capability or assets give tremendous amounts of money to Orthodox Jews that are not wealthy. As a matter of fact, in the secular world, super wealthy people live away from people who are middle class or poor. They don't live in the same neighborhoods. They live in gated communities. They have homes, you know.
Yeah, there are wealthy exceptions, right? Like the guy who brought up the B&H entrepreneur who runs the photo and video camera equipment store,
Yeah.
B&H, as we all know, in New York. That's great, good for him. But the rest of the whole community is still absorbing welfare benefits.
I'm sorry, let's go. No, not the whole community. So
Not everyone in Kiryas Joel is a benefit to me in any way.
Let's go back for 1 second. So the people, the Jewish community, the Jewish people from Orthodox Jewish people. I said from. That's the Hebrew word for it.
Orthodox or Hasidic?
Orthodox includes Hasidic and
Okay.
us, which are Litvish.
Okay.
We all try to follow the Torah completely as much as we can, and we're always trying to do better in that.
And the Talmud? I don't know.
If you read the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, it's mostly a book of laws, and there are 613 laws. And should I not go down? Should I stick this
Keep
up?
it focused. Keep going on your point of
So
Hasidic Jews,
Orthodox Jews
should be-
who are wealthy live in the same community with Orthodox Jews that are middle class and Orthodox Jews that are destitutely poor.
Okay.
We all live together. Our kids all go to the same schools. We all pray in the same synagogues. We don't separate. Someone with wealth doesn't separate himself from the community as what happens in the non-Orthodox Jewish world, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Almost
that's
every
a
super wealthy
right?
person doesn't.
Yeah.
Almost every super wealthy person does not live around middle class or poor people in the secular world. That's
Okay.
true. It's fact, right?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Yeah.
It's a Jewish enclave.
Well, so
I couldn't move there.
no. It's funny. You keep hitting on all these different topics.
Yeah.
Jewish enclave. So first of all, you can't.
Definitionally, right?
No, you can move there and you can move here, but here's what happens. On the Sabbath, we don't use cars.
Sure.
So we have to walk to synagogue. So we have to live. That's our doorbell.
No worries.
Okay. So we have to live together so we're close enough to a synagogue that we can walk to
You choose to live
on the
together.
Sabbath. No, but we have to for our religious
You
requirements.
choose to be
Look,
religious
what's that?
and in turn follow those religious
Oh, for
precepts
sure.
and choose to walk.
No one requires anybody to be an Orthodox Jew.
Sure.
They can decide to abandon it if they want. It's a free country, free world. Also, we have to eat kosher food. So if we need to be near where there's stores that sell kosher food. So the result is when an Orthodox Jews start to move into an
Yep.
area and start to have a certain critical mass, the value of the homes there go up dramatically. And then what happens is the non-Jews see they can make so much profit on their homes that they could never make before. They sell to the Orthodox Jews who have to come to this concentrated area. There was a elderly Christian woman on Tanglewood. It's 2 blocks over. And after almost every non-Jew had sold and moved, she's an elderly woman. She's living in a solidly Orthodox Jewish community. And someone asked her, you're able to sell your home for $300,000 more than what it was worth before the Jews moved in. Why don't you sell it and take the money? And she said, if I go somewhere else where it's not Orthodox Jews, who's going to take care of me? She said her neighbors check in on her every day. The neighbors' kids bring her cookies and come to visit with her every day. So we're not.
That's a heartwarming story. It is.
No, but no,
It's not every story.
It is characteristic. We are not. It is absolutely characteristic.
Okay.
Now,
You're arguing it's characteristic.
I know it's characteristic. We don't.
Many people have argued that's not the case, but we'll take that anecdote. Countless people, countless residents of. We'll get into that. We have a lot to touch on.
Sure, I'd like to hear from a
but
particular
I want to
person.
go back to the center of gravity of our conversation here. What does that old lady have to do with anything?
You were saying
She lived there before the Jewish community came.
No, but
She is a heritage resident of that community, that is now predominantly Jewish.
You're
She was there
saying-
before you. I'm saying I could not get in. It would
Okay.
be near impossible
I thought you were trying
to
to
buy
say-
a house or rent a house in Kiryas Shoel is what we're discussing.
Okay. I thought you were saying is that we exclude non-Jews from our community.
Oh, I'm implying it. I think it is more
I'm
or
saying-
less implied. They're saying you wouldn't want to be there. I'm saying it would be quite difficult to get in. And then you use an example of an elderly woman who lived there prior to the Jews coming in.
I got it. I know.
She lived there before. I'm saying I could never get in.
You're repeating yourself.
Carry on, yeah.
You're repeating yourself. I got the point
Okay.
the first time. So what I thought you were saying is that we exclude non-Jews from our communities, and what I'm trying to explain to you is the financial incentives, because of the demographics and our own religious requirements, mean that usually non-Jews prefer just to grab a lot of money because of the economic forces involved.
That's true.
And then move out.
I don't think you can debate that. That's a fact. People are gladly taking those above market rates in
Right.
many instances and leaving.
Right. All right. But
We're
we're
on the
happy.
same page.
We're happy, but we're happy for them to stay, and we don't ask them to. We don't like push them out.
Well, use we, right?
Yeah, we had a neighbor Wheeler right across the street over one house. We were sorry to see them go. Yeah, we
I've heard alternative narratives and stories of people claiming that there are instances of blockbusting where they would say, "Hey, when are you leaving? Are you going to leave? You know, can I sell your house or can I buy your house? I have someone who wants to buy your house."
right. So is that a?
You have a neighbor whom you like,
What's that?
who wanted to live there.
Well, I didn't ask to buy his house. I live here already. Someone else apparently asked to buy his house, right? So, is it bad that you have a house that's worth $300,000 and someone says, "I really want to live in this neighborhood. I'll give you $600,000 for it"?
I think it's great if you're trying to sell your house.
Okay, and if he doesn't have
Yeah.
to. Like this woman, she didn't have to sell her house.
Yeah, I think there's an argument in some instances of people who have claimed that they've been pressured, harassed, or intimidated to sell their house.
So the only kind of harassment or it's not intimidation. It only could be that too many people are knocking on their door asking, "Do you want to sell your house?" There's actually local townships that made laws. You're not allowed to knock on someone's door.
No
and
knock
buy their-
ordinance.
Right. Fine. So okay, problem solved.
There you go.
Are we persecuting people? If it's not okay to do, if there's a law against it, we don't do it. By the way,
We're jumping around a lot.
it was
We'll get to this, yeah.
You, I love you. You're great. You're bright.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're having a fun time, yeah.
but you go after people. You harass people.
Oh,
on
I
the
harass
street.
people?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's
you go,
talk about you for a little bit here. I want to give some background.
Okay,
on
but you go after them.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm persistent.
Very
Just like the
persistent.
salesmen who are trying to buy those homes in Lakewood.
No, they're not persistent like that.
Oh, they're not persistent
No,
like
they
that?
don't go after putting
I have more drive than them?
microphone in their face.
Yeah.
Go
Okay.
go after me. Go on.
No, I'm not going to go after you. I want to establish some background.
Go on.
You're a wealthy, well-connected guy. How did you make your money? Are you a billionaire?
No.
Okay. How did you make your money?
So I'm a medical doctor and a doctor of biophysics, and I made it in this pharmaceutical company. My father and uncle had 50-50 ownership in this small generic pharmaceutical company. I was in Boston at Harvard in the Brigham and Women's Hospital in internal medicine. My father called me and said, "If you ever want to try your hand in the business, you better come now. It's about to go out of business."
Okay.
So I took a year off. I can show you a letter I have downstairs from Harvard saying, "We're sorry to see you go and love to have you come back." I framed that one. It's from Marshall Wolf, who was the director of the House Staff Training Program at the Brigham. If you ask anybody in medicine, any medical doctor at the Brigham, they'll know the Brigham.
Okay.
So I left. I told him I'd take up the year, and I figured I have so many years of academic medical training ahead of me that if I'm going to go into business, I don't want to do all those years. And so I'm going to take 1 year off, see the business, and make a decision. And it was a long story about trying to turn that business around, the terrible mismanagement throughout it. But when I joined, by the way, they were on the verge of bankruptcy.
How to go from verge of bankruptcy to wildly profitable?
So it's a 24-year story of struggles, unbelievable pressures, work, threats, creativity, problems, failures, successes. To start out, I went there, I didn't know anything about business. Nothing. I didn't know what an invoice is. Because a lot of us know what invoices are now because we have the internet. We buy something and it comes with an invoice on it.
Yeah.
But that isn't what happened. You have to go to a store, you buy something, and you take it. So I didn't even know what an invoice was, let alone the difference between profit versus cash flow. But I knew how to manage projects because as a medical doctor, like in a hospital, as an intern in a hospital, and by the way, what they did to us then is no longer legal. But we would work 36-hour shifts continuously. One time I didn't go to sleep for 40 hours straight. I almost crashed my car on the way home. I had 20 admissions that night, 12 to the intensive care unit. Those at a veterans hospital. But anyway, you look for each patient. You're coordinating the lab tests, the lab results, respiratory therapy, electrocardiogram, chest X-ray, blood cultures, getting a gastroenterological, GI consult, the results of this, and you're coordinating all these different services, data, and everything, coordinating it all towards the care of this one patient. And you're taking 20 patients at a time through this whole process continuously. So as a medical doctor, I learned how to coordinate all these different areas into one objective. And also working on my doctorate in biophysics, I had to design experiments that had hundreds of steps and many different things going on, coordinating towards trying to determine this answer scientifically. So I brought the operational, organizational capability, and so when I first joined,
I see.
I'm not going to go too far.
So you became like a master at designing these systems, and I've heard what happened after you got FDA approval for that drug. I've heard there's like a 5,000% price increase, alleged price gouging.
Great. Okay,
I'm
great.
sure you have a folder prepared for that.
Right. I wonder how I would have known that you would have asked me about that.
Well, that's what pops up when I Google your name, right?
So let me ask you.
Folders on me. It goes from 9 pennies to 45.
You asked me about fentanyl.
Yeah. You're giving me a very nuanced molecular breakdown, which I was impressed by because I know you know your stuff.
Do you know? Would you say that a drug company that makes fentanyl, they spent millions and millions of dollars doing tests on fentanyl, getting FDA approval by giving thousands of pages of scientific data, taking the risk on whether it'll work or not, and then all the pharmaceutical manufacturing technology that's required to get FDA approved, that they're entitled to a higher price than someone who makes fentanyl illegally and sells it on the street?
Yeah, I think you're onto something here, but for clarity,
No, just
hear me out. I want to ask. So, did you fundamentally innovate the drug? Because I've heard it was a generic gout drug. Did the drug chemically alter after you guys were done with it in your research, or did you pay for FDA approval?
So the answer is that the drug that was on the market was illegal, unapproved drug.
It was not FDA approved.
And the FDA put out a policy guidance, FDA policy guidance on unapproved drugs. They wanted to, here it is. You can keep this. This is the guidance for FDA staff and industry, marketed unapproved drugs compliance policy guidance.
Let's see this.
I don't expect you to read it now.
I'll take some time to read it.
It's
So
double-sided.
you're saying there was a
no, let me, there's more to tell you, okay?
Tell me.
So
I'm just trying to understand where you got your money, because I know you become sort of a political powerhouse, power broker behind the scenes.
So may I tell you?
Yeah.
Okay, so there was a company that, Mucinex, the drug okay, so Mucinex.
I use it all the time, I get congested.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was, the drug is guaifenesin, and it was sold as an illegal, unapproved drug. But it's still a very safe drug. But FDA wanted these illegal, unapproved drugs. They wanted real scientific testing done on them, determine what the adverse effects are, and bring them within what they would call the regulatory compliance protocol. So Adams Pharmaceutical did that work, got Mucinex FDA approved, and FDA took the unapproved drug off the market.
Why did they take the unapproved drug off the market?
Because it was illegal.
No freedom of choice
It was never FDA approved.
Does it matter though if the drug gets done, if it's chemically identical, the two products?
How do you know it's chemically identical?
You tell me, I'm asking.
Okay, so with guaifenesin and Mucinex, I would argue there probably was very little additional benefit that Adams brought to the use of guaifenesin. However, our case is completely different.
Yeah, tell me the difference.
colchicine is a highly toxic drug. When we started to look after we saw what Adams did at unapproved drugs, I was, as a medical doctor, I was stunned that colchicine is an unapproved drug. By the way, levothyroxine also was at the time, and we can forget it. Let's stay on colchicine.
Colchicine.
Yeah. So there were 173 deaths on unapproved colchicine, and we decided we were going to do research on this. We spent millions of dollars of research on this to bring it to get an FDA approved. And when it came to doing our clinical studies, by the way, millions of people would have diarrhea from colchicine every year, and there are also some that died. Well, I told you that died on it.
Sure.
So I'm going to tell you the scientific part also. If you want to cut it out of the video, that's up to you. So when it came time to design our clinical study, it was going to cost millions of dollars. We were going to test colchicine that we were manufacturing using a fully FDA compliant, FDA approved process that went through the whole investigational drug approval process to do an investigational drug, and we were going to test the protocol, the dosing that was used by medical doctors, not the industry, and that was 1 to 2 tablets every hour for 8 hours. You got it?
Got it. 1 to 2 tablets
Every hour for 8 hours.
Okay.
So we tested 1 tablet every hour for 8 hours, a lower dose. But as we studied this drug and the molecular aspect of it, we saw that if we were doing testing on people, just testing for blood levels, not doing the clinical test to see if it works or not and if it's safe or not, we found that if we give 2 tablets first and 1 tablet later, the blood level would reach the same peak as 1 tablet every hour. But then since we stopped after 1 hour, the blood levels would come way down. Whereas at 1 tablet every hour, it stayed up there for 8 hours before it ever started to fall back down. And what we saw is, molecularly, that colchicine binds irreversibly. Now, it means what the word sounds like. Colchicine binds irreversibly to the microtubules. So we thought that maybe by getting the same peak blood level, called Cmax, as the major protocol, that we would bind all those sites on the microtubules in the body, and then we could allow the drug level now to go down quickly to avoid all this dosing and all this toxicity that happens afterwards. Took a risk, millions of dollars of risk, scientific innovation, and when the results came, I actually almost didn't believe it, except I know it was done in a fully legitimate way. By taking 2 tablets first and 1 tablet an hour later, we had actually better cure rates. When you look 24 hours later for gout, better cure rates than taking 1 every hour for 8 hours. However, statistically, our better cure rate is not statistically significant, so we can't say that we're better than that dose.
I see.
But adverse reactions went from 73% of patients who took it 1 every hour to statistically no different than a sugar pill. And severe adverse reactions went from 19% of patients in our study, for people who took the old protocol, to 0. But then it went further. We then looked at how this drug is broken down the body. It's called metabolism. And here's from FDA, a white paper from FDA, written by FDA, not by us. They're talking about our discoveries. It says fatal colchicine toxicity, meaning getting poisoned and dying from colchicine, reported in certain patients taking standard therapeutic doses of colchicine. That's the standard dose, the 1 an hour for every 8 hours. And concomitant medications that interact with colchicine, such as clarithromycin. Have you ever taken Z-Pak, the antibiotic?
Yeah, I've had Z-Pak.
So Z-Pak is an erythromycin.
Okay.
When I was telling you about opiates, I told you get opioids. Until you get the big molecule, then you do a little change here, a little change. That'll change sort of the timing that it works over. So erythromycin has little changes done to it, and Z-Pak is azithromycin. Clarithromycin is another one. So when someone takes clarithromycin or Z-Pak, azithromycin, and colchicine, their blood levels shoot up, and that causes toxicity. Nobody knew this, but we discovered this. As a matter of fact, we discovered that with certain HIV drugs, protease inhibitors, they also, the people with HIV had a much higher rate of having gout than the general public. And so they were taking colchicine, and they were getting toxic because while taking an HIV drug, the HIV drug would interfere with the enzyme in the liver that would also break down colchicine. It's cytochrome P450, it's CA4. CA4. You know that. So we then worked out that someone's taking this HIV drug, the lower dose of colchicine they need to take for that just 2-hour period to get the same efficacy but not get the toxicity. And our discovery was so significant that you should ask a regulatory expert. We had a regulatory expert who had been a director at FDA for 20 years. He said he's never heard this case where FDA made other drugs, HIV drugs, put our colchicine information, which is proof for our drug, on their labels for their drugs.
Got it.
Never seen it before.
So
let me finish. So second is the FDA. A substantially lower dose of colchicine, meaning our 2 tablets in 1, was as effective as the higher dose traditionally used. Moreover, patients receiving a lower dose experienced significantly fewer adverse events compared to the higher dose. Now, so then FDA took the illegal, unapproved drugs off the market.
Which is chemically the exact same drug?
No, thanks about chemically. So the active ingredient...
At a molecular level, is it the same drug?
So the active ingredient is the same. However, we also discovered that during the manufacturing process, when you expose this to light, colchicine gets converted, some of it gets converted to lumecolchicines. Lumecolchicines have chemical molecular structures similar to certain cancer-causing drugs. So we implemented the use of red lights, which they were not doing, to reduce the lumecolchicine levels, and we also developed tests to test the drug for lumecolchicine to make sure we don't have them. They were just pumping out this stuff. People are dying. They're having millions of cases of diarrhea, and they're getting exposed to these potential molecular structures that can cause cancer. But not only that, yes, after all that, we had a much higher price. However, we put in programs that people who were, I'm going to go off memory now, people whose income was, I think, 2 times the federal poverty level, we sent them the colchicine for free.
That's cool.
And then if they were up to, which I think was, going by memory, so, yeah. Okay, I think it was $22,000 a year for a family of 4, was $22,000 a year, so it was up to $44,000 a year. And the most that we charged for people who didn't have insurance was that they made up to $100,000 a year for a family of 4. We charged them $25 a month.
Okay.
So
compared to how much was it previously per month for the treatment?
Nothing, because it's illegal product. Just like what does fentanyl cost per dose versus pharmaceutical fentanyl that's used in anesthesia for surgery.
Right. So you guys invested millions of dollars, all this intellect, all this risk in trying to understand how this drug works
and discoveries,
how it should be used.
And discoveries on the metabolism, the drug-drug interactions, how to change the doses so people don't get poisoned, and how to make this dose that will cure them just as well, but will not poison them as every doctor had been doing in the United States. Actually, probably the world.
No, this is interesting. So I don't know much about the pharma industry, as you can tell. How do you decide the price from like 9 pennies to $4.85? It's like a 5,300% increase. What is the logic behind price increase for something like this?
So I would say that pharmaceutical manufactured fentanyl is not basing their price on what illegal Chinese fentanyl is costing for drug addicts on the street. So to answer it, how do we determine the price? Gout is extremely painful. So we looked at the price of other drugs that are used to treat painful situations, painful, bursitis or whatever, and we priced it similar to that. But we put in
Right.
programs to make sure that anyone who couldn't afford it, and didn't have insurance, could easily afford it, or you can get it for free.
So there wouldn't be studies out there suggesting that there's reduced use of the drug, like increase in like emergency visits for gouts and just declined overall usage of the drug.
So I subscribe to the New England Journal of Medicine,
Okay.
and you need to know that they are. It comes out of Harvard, the Brigham and Massachusetts General Hospital, and they are woke, leftist, liberal
They
institutions.
hate capitalists.
They hate capitalists.
I'm pro-capitalist. I'm trying to understand the industry.
Except when it comes to their own payment for their medical services.
Sure.
Now all of a sudden they want to charge as much as they can.
Okay.
But that anybody else should make profit, they're against that. So they're hypocritical, absolutely hypocritical. So they did this. There was one or two papers by left-leaning who were
Got
just
it.
trying. So anybody who needs it could get it. We would give it to them
That's
for
cool.
free. And we had a website for it. We also had it at pharmacies at the point of filling prescription, a kiosk there, and the pharmacist knew that they can give them this coupon and they can get it for free if they make I think it was less. I said 44,000 a year. I think maybe it was 66,000 a year I can't remember that. I think it was 2 or maybe it was 3 times the federal poverty limit. You can look up the program. I guess so many years ago now I don't remember.
Okay, so just so I understand, once you get FDA approval, you pay the FDA application fee, you run these clinical trials, you find all these discoveries.
Yes.
You get exclusive rights to sell that drug.
We got patents. Yeah, right.
Got it.
FDA will give
You didn't invent the drug, right?
No, we
This is a
we
drug that's
invented.
been around for what, 200 years?
No, it's been
Early
around for
1800s?
2,000 years.
Okay, like an ancient remedy, right?
Yeah, where people were getting sick and dying from it.
And it never experienced this level of R&D, this investment.
It was
like-
never done, and
Okay.
not only that, you could do the R&D to bring the drug into FDA compliance, like Adams did with bifenacin. But to make this brand new discovery, how would you think that doctors have been giving it 1 tablet every hour for 8 hours?
Yeah.
Who would think to do 2 tablets hourly, 1 tablet, and stop?
I would never think that.
Right.
It's
we're-
only something a lab like yours, I'm sure.
We were
would.
delving into it. Yeah, we
interesting.
spent a lot of effort, a lot of doctors, medical doctors, scientists, research studies, trying to weave our way through this, understand on a molecular level what's going on. Yeah, there's so much science behind it. But anyway,
So, like, what do you say to people who say, you made all of your money price gouging a pre-existing drug?
so they don't believe in capitalism.
Okay, fair.
Now here's when capitalism works. By the way, we got patents approved on it. Do you know where patents come from? You believe you have patents?
The idea, the concept, what do you mean?
The law.
Tell me, educate me.
The founding fathers of the United States of America
Yeah.
wrote the patent laws into the Constitution of the United States. You have freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. Your right to own guns.
Yeah.
You have the right to get patents on new discoveries.
Well, you didn't discover the drug.
We discovered the safety mechanisms. We discovered the way to dose it that wouldn't be killing people and making them sick as crazy. Wouldn't be wiping out their immune systems. Wouldn't have them doubled over with vomiting and diarrhea. But that's of no value. So
Yeah, makes sense.
FDA felt that was of value,
I think it is of value. The way you explained it, that makes sense.
and we wanted to make sure that people who can't afford it are protected.
Of
And
what
that's-
value, who knows? I don't know how you estimate that if there's no competitors in the marketplace, right? If you consolidate the entire drug and the use of the drug.
Yeah, no,
I don't know how you estimate that. I
Went
don't know
every
who
certain
estimates
number of years, and then it went off patent, and now it's cheap again. But now made under FDA requirements that we developed,
it. Okay.
the science that we developed.
I'm not anti-capitalism. This
By the way,
explanation helps to
but-
understand it from your perspective a little
Right.
bit more.
And by the way, so
Um,
if you don't allow somebody to make profit, and hopefully a lot of profit
Yeah.
on something based
No
on
market incentive to do. the
then they don't
research,
do it.
right? Sure.
I mean, you don't see.
I get that.
You don't see communist countries leading the way. I mean, all the developments
For sure.
we have, all the eBay and social media. That's America developed that. The internet development, all the medicines development. It's America. You have to give people incentives.
I agree with incentives. I think you're absolutely right. What's the difference between like 53% increase in the cost versus like, why not just go for like 5 million % increase and just charge the insurance companies? Like, why not just go for the moon?
We wanted to price it comparable to what other pain medications were charging.
I see.
That could be used for similar types of pain.
Okay. Makes sense.
I think I could be wrong. So going back a lot of years now, I think we looked at. I think naproxen sodium was not off patent yet. I think we might have looked at naproxen. Maybe. I'm not sure.
Okay, so just for clarity, when you raise the price like that,
No,
you consolidate the market.
What's the question? What do you call it? Raising the price? If a company.
Okay, you're arguing it's a totally new product or something?
Yeah.
But it's the same exact molecularly the same, or no? You tell me.
The product is the active ingredient. It's the inactive ingredients. It's the impurities. It's the labeling for adverse reactions, for safety. It's the dosing. Like the labeling of a drug product is considered part of the drug product in FDA regulations.
Got it.
The labeling is not just the labeling outside the body. Labeling includes the package insert with all the science, all the directions on how it's to be used, what to watch for, what are the risks.
That's millions of dollars of research. That goes into
It was just unbelievable. Yeah, right.
And risk of maybe not.
Risk, may not work. Yeah.
I get it. Okay, so you
which, by the way, it is very difficult to pass pass clinical studies. So I get all these people come to me that a guy has an idea for a drug.
Yeah.
Almost every single drug that's thought of, that's tried, fails each stage of research until it's past phase 3. Most phase 2 drugs, they fail. They don't even make it past phase 3. But let's go on.
No, this sounds intellectually straining. This sounds risky. It sounds capital intensive. You sell the company?
Yes.
Now you're rich.
I've been rich since I was born. My name is Richard Roberts.
But now you're wealthy.
But that was a non-martial arts.
No, that was good. That was a quick one. That was beautiful.
Okay.
That was funny. I like that.
Okay.
I know you've been rich before you're born. Well,
My name was Rich.
You also what? I guess this was your father's company beforehand?
Yeah, I grew up upper middle class.
No shame. You made the joke.
Yeah, right.
But now you become extremely wealthy after selling this company, and what? You retire soon after? What happens next?
So the company was sold to a Japanese company that also had another drug for gout. There's 2 ways to basically treat gout. You don't want to hear about all this, right? You want to hear about this?
Explain the drug enough for me to understand, I think, where you're coming
There's
from.
2 ways to treat gout. One is to prevent the uric acid from being made in the blood, and the other one is when the uric acid makes crystals in the joint.
Okay.
That actually is not the problem. It's the immune system attacks those crystals and releasing all the inflammatory molecules, and that's what causes the swelling and extreme pain, and that's the problem. And colchicine treats that.
That's awesome.
So Takeda, who was I think the largest drug company in Japan at the time, I think the 17th largest drug company in the world, had a drug that prevents uric acid or reduces uric acid from being made, and they were calling on rheumatologists to sell the drug, and now they can take our drug and also add it to their sales team to sell to rheumatologists, because rheumatologists also would prescribe colchicine for treating gout attacks.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about chronic colchicine.
Do you sell it to Takeda, the Japanese company?
They bought the
You're
company.
now a wealthy man?
Yes, at that point. I mean, you say wealthy. I find it a little crude speaking that way. Not that it's wrong, just a little crude. I would say a high net worth individual, whatever.
Wealthy is insulting?
No, I think it's, you see on social media,
Yeah.
I'm wealthy. I got my jet. I got my rolls. Look at my bling, right? And if you send me $600, I'll show you how to make it. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm a little more sophisticated.
Yeah, you're the OG Marvin Shkreli.
No, are you kidding me?
Okay.
Oh, that's so funny.
Okay. You're wealthy though. You're a high net worth individual.
Whatever you want to say. Okay.
I'm just trying to understand how you become well connected. How do you begin building all these connections with Donald Trump, the White House? Like, I just want to play, like, for instance, this is like,
I got it.
like, for instance,
While you played, I was going to take a drink.
We just listened to this. Like, I want to understand. I'm trying to understand who you are, how you got to this position,
I'll
and why you do what you do.
No, I'll tell you.
So, like, okay, we're talking on Instagram. Like, I just want to play the voicemail you sent me because I find it fascinating.
Okay.
Like,
Is it about Jackson?
I'm wondering if we're still on for
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
I
Some
heard
of the points
that
you
you were
said.
in our community. You were in Jackson, which is really like a continuation of Lakewood. By the way, I don't know if you know how I toppled the government there. They had all these anti-Semitic laws. It was crazy. And I didn't even go to the White. I had 2 conversations with the White House, and eventually DOJ got involved. But anyway, so I don't know. Are you already doing your Lakewood thing?
okay, so
Hey, Tyler.
you mentioned.
Because I saw that you were here in Lakewood,
Yeah.
or maybe like Thursday.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe you weren't coming here on
100%,
Sunday.
yeah. What I was more interested in was you mentioned you called
So
the
before-
DOJ, the White House, like you
I did
walked
not.
in
I
there.
did not call DOJ.
Okay, you got the DOJ involved. You
No,
went to the White
no,
House.
I didn't.
You toppled the government.
I'm trying to get DOJ right now involved with StubHub
Should we just play it again?
to protect the public.
Let's play it again then. I think we're
Okay.
maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey Tyler, I'm wondering if we're still on for Sunday.
Thank you for
I heard
double-checking,
that
by
you
the way.
were in our community. You were in Jackson, which is really like a continuation of Lakewood. By the way, I don't know if you know how I toppled the government there. They had all these anti-Semitic laws. It was crazy. And I didn't even go to the White. I had 2 conversations with the White House, and eventually DOJ got involved. But anyway, so I don't know.
You heard the difference?
Got it. Okay, so you had 2 conversations at the White House.
You said
DOJ got involved. You toppled the government.
Let's go back. You said I called DOJ. I never spoke
Okay.
to DOJ. I did speak to people in the White House twice to tell them what was going on because
Who in the White House?
I think I don't want to say.
Okay, so first off though, so
But-
you mentioned Jackson's a continuation of Lakewood. You
So when I
toppled
say
the governments,
what-
you went to the White House willy-nilly.
Called.
Called the White House.
Right.
You're connected to the White
By
House.
the way, I rarely leave my house. Almost everything I can do is from can I.
Which just goes to show the scale of your connections, in my opinion. I hear this voicemail, I'm like, shiver me timbers. Who am I dealing with a little bit here, right? Like this guy's.
Oh, sorry, I hit the mic.
I'm
It's
like,
just little old
I'm
me.
like, woo! All right, so he's called me. I'm like, woo! I'm like, if he could topple the government without sweating his brow, then who am I talking to?
One
right?
second.
How do you go from?
I didn't topple the federal government. I
You
love
toppled the Jackson government.
I love this country, and I love Trump,
Yeah.
and I love so.
Yeah.
And I love the United States of America. So so let's go. Let's
But
go
you
back.
casually toppled the Jackson government. A, what does that mean? B, how did you get a relationship with the White House?
Right.
How
So
did the DOJ get involved?
I understand
Yeah.
the questions. There's so much to say. I'm just like, so you first said, how did I get?
Yeah, how did you get involved in politics, and how does it lead to this? Let's start there.
So, on this ending, so we'd love to show you the commercial that I ran on Fox News against Jackson Township. But, and I'll just say quickly about Jackson Township, then we'll get back to how I got involved in politics. So Lakewood is a township. The next townships over are not over a bridge or on a highway. It's just the next block. It just becomes the next township. So Lakewood has about 120,000 Orthodox Jews now because of the economic and demographic forces I told you about, right? Where prices go up and the non-Jews decide they want to make a big profit. They sell their homes to the Jews and they move. It's their right to do. They can say they can move, they can move. You didn't see, I think maybe you took objection to that, but that's, your prerogative. It's a free country.
What did I take an objection to?
You tried to say like we're forcing them out, or no, you wanted the distinction that we're not going to sell to you if you want to move in.
I was thinking about Curious Shul. I'm sure it's the same here, though, perhaps.
Well,
right?
but I don't think you want to pay double the price for the same home to live here. But if you want to, you can do it. I mean, probably they would sell to you.
Okay.
My house is not for sale, but if you find a house that's for sale, then if you offer them enough money, they would probably sell to you.
Probably so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So
Toppled Jackson government.
no,
White House,
DOJ.
DOJ.
No, not top. No, that's all. That's
Happens later.
later.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to get to that. Can I take a drink real quick?
Of course.
What
Of
seltzer,
course. Yeah,
please?
yeah. Well, we've been at it for a while. No.
Oh, I'm having fun.
I don't mean to dehydrate you.
No, I mean.
I'll take a sip myself.
Okay, so I said I'm tempted to show you a commercial that I ran on Fox News against Jackson. But let me.
I watched it before I came here. I know exactly what you're talking
You did?
about. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Jackson's becoming anti-Semitic. What was the message?
The message was, well, to put it in my own words, not necessarily what's exactly in the commercial. When we pray, we need 10 men for a prayer service.
A minion.
A minion. Good word. Oh, you're almost there. Except, you're not a goyim.
I'm a Gentile?
No, you're Gentile. It's English. But in Hebrew, you're not a goyim.
I'm a goy?
How do you know that?
Goyim is plural.
Plural.
Yeah, okay, I was misusing that.
Yeah, you're saying I'm a goyim. No, you're a goy.
I'm a goy.
And what does goy mean?
I'm just gonna guess it's a non-Jew. What does it mean?
It means nation. The nation.
I see. I come from a different tribe.
Different nations. Yeah, there's all these nations in the world, and the Jews are one nation. Now we're part of other nations also. The nation. We're not talking about nation states. We're talking about peoples. We're talking about a nation.
So goy, Jew. Jew,
Yeah,
goy.
yeah.
Goy, Jew.
Yeah.
Okay.
As I try to tell people on one of my Instagram channels, we don't see anything wrong with being a goy. As a matter of fact, we have to keep 613 commandments. You only have to keep 7. The laws of Noah, or you call Noah, as in Noah's Ark.
Do you see non-Jews as equal
Yeah.
to Jews?
Are you kidding? Of course.
1-to-1?
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe you're better than, maybe you particularly better than me, but okay, you're very articulate, you're bright, you're out there doing. I'm an old
Likewise,
man.
no.
I'm an old man.
You're a force of nature. Don't.
That's very funny. Actually, I do. I train on 150 pounds, a heavy bag, and when I hit it, I'm showing use the hips and I make the thing pop like a jumping jack.
It's all about the hip motion, right?
So, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, hip and then shoulders, and then you also want to focus.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, well, I've been doing it for 41 years. But just a quick aside. So I trained, the last 8 years I trained with George Sullivan, who used to be a UFC fighter. I mean, I love the guy. He's not Jewish. I'm sorry, I love the guy. Love him. And I
love the goy.
I love the guy.
I'm just kidding.
And he's a beast. He's a beast. So people say, Rich, you're a 68-year-old medical doctor, retired businessman, asthmatic. How do you fight with George? I said, it's simple. I go easy on him.
Okay.
And he loves it. It's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke. He would destroy me in an instant.
You're being humble.
Maybe not in an instant, but pretty quickly, very quickly. He's unbelievably capable.
Fox News ads.
Okay.
Anti-Semitism in Jackson running amok.
One quick thing about George to tell you. If I ever had any fantasy, I used to watch videos of professional boxers, and then I would try to mimic their movements, right? And I just, most of them are black, and I see their movements, I try to mimic them, and I just look like a stuffy white guy. The crusty old white guy. I can't do it. I try. And when it comes to like George, he hits like a Mack truck, as forceful as I can hit. And George, as a matter of fact, when Jackson, the mayor of Jackson at the time, had an article where he said he's going to kick my
Your ass.
I don't want to say back, but you said it. You said the word. George sent me. He put on his social media. He said, Rich Roberts' right hand will drop you in a second, and his round kick will launch you into the next town.
Wow.
So,
Straight to Lakewood.
or out of like whichever.
Okay.
Anyway, by the way, that mayor and I were very good friends now. But I targeted him in the ad. So,
Why did you target him?
And I'm gonna. What's that?
Why did you target him? What did you see?
Oh, so Lakewood was getting filled up with Orthodox Jews, and they start. As I told you, we have to be together for schools, for synagogues, for kosher food. We have to be together. So you're gonna start buying the next block over. That would be Jackson and Tom's River. Now it's going into Howell because we're having lots of children. And thank God we're having lots of children. Thank God almost all of them stay religious, get married early, and having children, and the community is just growing and growing. So in Jackson, they passed regulations against Orthodox Jews. targeting Orthodox Jews. And not only
How
that,
so?
and not only that, they were harassing us. Let me give you an example. For us to pray, we said before, we have to have at least 10 men to have a prayer service. We pray 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and evening. Morning is about 45, 50 minutes. I know they told you in previous Joel longer, but maybe they do it longer.
It's different here.
45, 50 minutes. Afternoon is about 10 minutes. Evening, maybe 15 minutes. We have to get 10 men together.
Okay.
So,
Minimum.
minimum, right, exactly.
Okay.
So, and you don't need a rabbi to lead the service. Any boy, any 13 years or older can lead the service. Everybody's praying, they do things, they lead. So Jackson, they were very unprofessional, very amateurish. So they had their code enforcement department counting the number of Jews on the street, Orthodox Jews on the street,
Okay.
and they left the emails on their Jackson Township email system, official township email system. So when litigation ensued, it came out in discovery. So they say, I see 3 men wearing the garb, carrying Bibles. They're probably carrying prayer books, but going into this house. And the inspectors would actually go onto the property and peer into the window to see if we were praying. And they didn't see anybody, so they went to the garage. They didn't see anybody in the garage. And this is all on the email system, emails that Jackson Township inspectors sent on the email system to their department.
So for clarity,
Let me go back.
the home in which you guys are doing this, is this residentially zoned? Is it being used as a place of worship?
It's residentially zoned.
Okay.
So they even went to the guy's backyard and they looked in. He had a pool back there and a pool house, like for changing. He looked in there to see if we were praying. So, as I said in the press, it seemed like you've done your research. I said, if we were in that home, if we had 10 people in that home or 15 people in that home, and we were watching pornography, we were getting drunk or watching football, there'd be no problem. But if we're praying, they're going to come cite us with a violation. Anyway, it got litigated to the New Jersey Supreme Court, who ruled you can have up to 25 people in the home praying, and you don't need to have it zoned as a house of
there's
worship.
like an occupancy limitation on the home.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well,
It exceeds that
for
occupancy.
praying, otherwise it's considered a house of worship.
Okay, so the house was zoned residentially, and it is being used as a house of worship?
No, you can just go in there. The guy owns the house. You can just go in there and pray. We do it all the time.
But there's a reason why certain properties are zoned differently, right?
So if you want to have a house of worship, that applies if you're having more than 25 people there for prayer services. But until that, up to and including 25 people, you're allowed to pray in your home. Just like when I have the Super Bowl here, I have 50 people here.
Sure.
I don't, but
In contrast to
but the
the
point-
Super
but the
Bowl,
point- but
how
the-
often
but the point
does
is, I
this
would think-
congregation happen per year? Is it every week?
oh no,
Every day?
we pray 3 times a day. No,
So 3 times a day versus once a year, though, right? That's an important distinction.
oh, but the same. But every week they get during football season, get people over watching football, and they get 30 people in the house watching football. Right? Anybody in America can do that, and they're not cited for a violation. Like I said, if they were all just getting drunk in there, not cited for a violation. But if it's Orthodox Jews praying, bang, they went after us.
You don't think they would have been treated the same if it were a mosque or a church?
There are Christian groups and that they were not harassed like we were.
So you guys were singled out in your opinion?
Yeah, for sure, no question about it. They also passed a law. We have something called an Erev.
Okay.
You heard about an Erev?
The fishing wire.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a string, whatever type of wire
Got
it
it.
could be. So
The Arab is to extend what is considered the home in the eyes of God? Is that?
well, it's not eyes of God. It's a Jewish law. It said if you go through the 5 books of Moses, the
Okay.
Torah, the Bible, it's filled with laws. It's laws after law. There's a law then on the Sabbath about walking a certain distance, not carrying in a public area on the Sabbath. So the result is women have children with carriages can't leave their house on the Sabbath. People in wheelchairs can't leave their house on the Sabbath. So there's this law that if we put up this string to expand the boundary, not legal boundary, we're not taking anybody's land. It's a religious thing for us. Then women can come out with pushing carriages. People in wheelchairs can come out. you can carry something outside. So
God says, thou must have Erev.
well, it does not say in that
Put
word.
up the Erev?
Well, you want to, we can look up the source of it, but I don't know if you
Yeah.
want to get far afield here. So Jackson, seeing Orthodox Jews are coming in,
Yeah.
wanted to try to block our way of life. So they passed a law that nothing is allowed to be put on the publicly owned areas, like the grass between the sidewalk and the curb.
Got it.
And they did that so we couldn't put a thin pole with a string, or that we could use a telephone pole and put a little thin pole up the side of the telephone pole and have our string go that and go across. The result was all these kids that had these like little portable basketball courts that were on that little piece of grass. Jackson preferred to have their children not be able to play basketball like that in order to keep Jews out.
Okay, so
Now there's
some
other
interesting points you
there's
brought up.
other
Are they keeping Jews out?
keep religious Jews from.
So the Erev is mandatory to be Jewish. You need an Erev.
No, you're Jewish if you're born to a Jewish mother.
Why do you need Erev so badly?
So that
Why don't you just stay inside on Saturdays? Is that what God commanded? I'm trying to understand the theology here.
that we're not on the Sabbath, we're not allowed to do 39 categories of work.
So why don't you stay inside the house like God commanded?
So, no,
No?
God didn't command you to stay in the house. God commanded we can't carry things outside. So we can go walk outside, but if you have a child, an infant that's in a carriage,
Yeah.
or can't walk on their own, you're not allowed to carry the child outside because you're carrying. You got it?
So the Erev extends what is considered the home?
Consider the area that you're allowed to carry in.
Are you tricking God?
No, it's a law.
The law is you must have Erev.
No, the law is that if you want to carry outside, you can only do so
With fishing
in an
wire?
area where there's an Erev, where there's a string around it. It's not tricking God. It's one God gives the
tricking
laws.
God commanded you
By
to
the way,
have Erev.
just like the people in Curious Joel are not tricking the government. The government has criteria for getting financial aid. If they qualify for it, they're allowed to do it. In Minnesota, the Somalians are committing fraud. They're tricking the government. They have right now.
I think there's an important distinction. I agree.
They
Between
have
fraud
schools.
and
They have
corporate.
schools they're getting money for, and there's no children there, or daycare, whatever it was, daycare center, right? What Shirley found, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
So they found right school daycare centers getting money from the government for older children, and there are no children. there.
Tomatoes, tomatoes. These are two different
Exactly.
topics.
Nothing. One nothing to do with the other.
Sure.
So
I'm just trying to understand the Erev.
okay, but we
You
did.
need the Erev?
But we didn't go back to your original question on how I got involved politically,
Yeah.
and then how I ended up going after Jackson. But you want Erev? We'll do
Okay,
the Erev.
no, tell me politics.
Okay.
Enough of the Erev. Yeah.
Let me take a little drink of seltzer. Are you enjoying this?
Of course.
You're learning. I know you're
Yeah.
a smart guy. You'll learn. I respect that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Politics.
So, in the year 1999 or 2000, so FDA has two branches in a sense. One is the FDA headquarters, and that's where if you want to get a new drug approved, you have to send all the data to them, and they have the scientists there and the statisticians and the regulatory people crunching the numbers. But the FDA also has what are called district offices all around the country. And they have the inspectors that go into the manufacturing plant to make sure that manufacturing plant is abiding by FDA manufacturing regulations, which are unbelievably extensive, unbelievably complex, require unbelievable amounts of effort, of people, of data tracking, measurements. I could go into that, it's insane. So the local FDA office inspected us, and they claimed that we had observations on what's called an FDA Form 483. Those observations mean that they think you're doing wrong, and they'll tell headquarters, don't give that company any drug approvals until they get their regulations in the manufacturing plant where the procedure's right. You got it?
Okay.
So we then write to FDA and send them our corrective action plan for all those things that they say they observed, and we're supposed to hear back from them. Now, if it's actually a violation, you should go to something called a warning letter. It's a capital W, capital L. It's a formal name, warning letter, where they send you a warning letter. You had this violation. It wasn't corrected. We're going to shut you down. We're going to take legal action against you.
All right.
And it could be criminal action also. No warning letter, but they don't tell us that our corrective action plans are good or not good, sufficient or insufficient. And then we're not getting any drug approvals. And 6 months later, they come out, same team, and they do another inspection. They find more observations on the FDA Form 483. We go through 3 or 4 cycles of this, and we send in our corrective action plans. FDA will not talk, district office will not talk to us, won't tell us what's happening, what's going on, and we're not getting approvals. In the meantime, we were strictly a generic drug company at that time, and generic drugs are the ultimate commodity. So prices, our selling prices are going down and down, our profitability is shrinking, and we're getting close to a loss position. When you lose money for enough period of time, you go out of business. So I was struggling, like, here we are, and here's FDA sitting on top of us. Who's on top of FDA? And I asked a lot of people, lawyers. It's the government. It's Congress. So I went to Senator Arlen Specter. He was the senator, United States Senator of Pennsylvania, and we were a Philadelphia company, and he was head of the Senate committee that determines FDA's budget every year. And I also went to Congressman Greenwood, who in Congress was chairman of the congressional committee that determines FDA's budget, and he happened to be a congressman from a local neighboring suburban area, to which we had some employees from there. So each of them had an interest that we were a constituent.
All right.
And they wrote a letter to FDA, and they said, Dr. Roberts showed us all this. They said, the letter said, we don't know FDA regulations, but the process seems foul. That you're sitting on this company, you're not giving them any drug approvals, and you're not responding to the corrective actions that they take. So this process seems foul.
Foul for everyone or just for you?
For us.
Just for you.
Yeah, they're singling us out. They're not responding.
Why would they single you out?
Well, so now I'll be using conjecture. I have ideas maybe why, but I don't really know for sure. It could be
Can you guess
conjecture.
because you're Jewish?
No,
Okay.
I never thought of that. Maybe it is. I don't know. I never
Maybe
thought.
they're anti-Semitic.
It could be. I never thought of that.
Okay.
I
I thought that's where you're headed with it.
I mean, it's almost all of our employees were not Jewish. We had 800 later on. We grew. We had 800 employees, but with the contract sales force and maybe 2 other Orthodox Jews in the company. One was a chemist in a laboratory. Another was in the computer department, IT department. So it never occurred to me that might be anti-Semitism. So anyway, the Senator and Congressman sent this letter to FDA, and apparently what happened is FDA said, he gets the Senator. By the way, when I went to the Senator and Congressman, they never asked me for a contribution. They were just interested truly in helping their constituents. And we're a big employer, and we're going to go out of business. So FDA apparently sent that letter, headquarters, to the district office, and district office that was after us for a reason I don't know why. Obviously decided this company's going to try to go above our head to Congress. We're going to get them. So now FDA came out, did an inspection, and they wrote up criminal violations.
For you?
For our company, criminal violations. And when we got that FDA 483, list of observations, and it was criminal violations, I am freaking out.
Were there criminal violations?
Perfect question to ask. That's the question to ask. I'm freaking out, and my vice presidents are telling me, Rich, it's not true. What they wrote, it's not true. And I spent the next 10 days, 16 hours a day, except for the Sabbath, getting all the information from all the different departments to the vice presidents and directors and even managers, writing the response. After the first 7 days or 8 days or so, what I saw was, I'll give you some examples of what they wrote. When you're manufacturing medications with different active ingredients, different drugs. You need to make sure that in one room that's manufacturing that drug, powder doesn't go out into another room and contaminate it, right? If you got penicillin, we don't make penicillin in one room and aspirin in another, we don't make either of those drugs. But what is
Like peanut allergies.
exactly?
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
that has right. So you have air systems that each room has a vacuum compared to the hallway. So the air only goes one way into each room from the hallway, and from there it goes out to filters before it goes back. HEPA filters, you know what HEPA filters are? They take out particles down to 0.22 microns. So
Wow.
so right, so HEPA filters that make sure that the contaminated air is purified before it goes back into the hallways and into the rooms again, so you have no cross-contamination. So if you work on the air system, you have to, HVAC system, heating, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. If you worked on the HVAC system, you have to have your quality assurance department run tests on the HEPA filters before you start manufacturing. They do a smoke test. They should put smoke on one side and test whatever electronic devices are, there's no smoke coming through on the other side. So the FDA observation said, on this date, the HVAC company came into this manufacturing company. They did work. We have the invoice, and the company never, our company never had the quality assurance department check the air system after that. And in the meantime, the company went ahead and made 100 million tablets and distributed to the public. I am freaking out. The vice president showed me. The HVAC company also repairs refrigerators. It was a damaged refrigerator that came in, and here's the invoice, and they didn't work on the HVAC system at all. They worked on a refrigerator.
There we go. Really.
This is, and I can tell you about government, and how government is dangerous, necessary, and dangerous, but I don't want to get too far afield. Another one. You might do a batch of a million tablets. One batch of a million tablets of a given drug. Now you're going to take tablets every now and then, again by regulations, that you're going to go test in the laboratory. So you take a certain number of tablets throughout as the batch is manufactured, and you might take 30, 40, 50 tablets, and then you have 10 of them tested in the laboratory. We did that, and they failed for content uniformity. I told you about there'd be certain uniform dosage drug. They failed. So FDA said the company tested this batch of drugs. It failed uniformity, and the company went ahead and released the batch to the public anyway. That's a criminal act. There again, the vice presidents bring me the laboratory notebook from the chemist that did the work. What FDA wrote was right until that was the bottom of the page. You turn the page, the chemist wrote at the top of the next page, this is an OOS, that means out of specification result. I will now test 20 additional tablets according to FDA's regulations, and if the average of the all 30 come out acceptable, then we can release the batch. They do the test on the other 20, the average is acceptable, we release the batch. So I called up the district director of FDA, and I said, I'm not going to use his name, but I said, Mr. Director, this is Dr. Rich Roberts from Mutual Pharmaceutical.
All right.
I was quite upset when I saw the 483. I was very concerned about the severity of the violations, but I've spent the last 2 weeks going through documentation, and I'm telling you, the observations of FDA are false. We have documentation, they're false. He said, Dr. Roberts, I'm very glad you called me now and not 3 days from now. That means they're about to have the federal marshals come in and arrest us and shut the company down. He said, how soon can you get your response to us with this documentation? So I said, I need another few days to get just the response to just the first half of the observations, another 2 weeks to get the other half. I literally working 16 hours a day, and I wrote hundreds of pages a couple hundred pages of text with thousands of pages of documentation. Now, we had an FDA consultant working on our case, and he had been in FDA director at FDA for 20 years. And I decided the FDA, the district office, is trying to fraudulently put us out of business. And I wrote a very harsh response. I would say for each observation, a response would say, this observation is false. The FDA was lying. The inspectors were lying. And he said, if you're going to treat FDA that way, I have to resign from the case, because the guy worked at FDA for 20 years. He represents companies going to FDA. He has to keep his relationship. So I had to make this decision. Am I going to soften it? And I thought, you know what? FDA has gone for the jugular. They want to put us out of business. They want to shut down our company. I'm not going to die with the missiles still in the silos. We're going to launch everything right now because we're on the verge of dying. Company was losing money. We're going to go out of business. So I sent it in. The first half, the response to the first half, false. This observation is false, and giving all the documentation, and then working like a maniac for the next 2 weeks with vice presidents, directors, managers, getting all the data, understanding exactly even the way the FDA writes the violations is complex the way they write it, and every day wondering if the federal marshals are going to show up, right? Because FDA may decide to try to strong arm us and just put us out of business. And then we sent then the second half of the responses in, and I wrote in a cover letter to the district director, and I said, I did not tell Senator Specter or Congressman Greenwood what we found when we saw these observations that you wrote. I'm going to wait 10 business days for you to make a decision, and I don't necessarily have to show them what we found. 5 days went by, and we had heard nothing from FDA. So I'm getting very nervous. So I told my vice president of regulatory affairs, I said, call a manager at the FDA district office and tell her that your CEO is about to go, crazy Ivan. He's about to go to the senator and the congressman and show them what happened, and he's just not going to wait the whole 10 days. And she said, FDA's top priority is to give your company drug approvals. Now for the next 2 years, we got approval after approval after approval. And the FDA inspector that headed up this fraudulent attack on us was promoted and sent to headquarters. That's your government dollars at work. Okay. So
you become disillusioned as to the trustworthiness of governments, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, when you're interacting with the government, there is no government. There is the individual in the government that you're interacting with.
Okay.
If that individual is a ethical, right-minded person, you're going to get what you deserve, good or bad. But it's going to be right. It's going to be correct. But if the person's out to get you, they have virtually unlimited resources. I say that there's equal justice for everyone in the United States, especially if you're wealthy, right?
You are.
So, well, not just me, right? I'm not the only wealthy person. I think you come from a wealthy background also myself. That's what I think. But anyway.
Man, wealthy's not a pejorative, but okay.
Well, you keep pointing it out, so I don't know. But okay.
This is a testament to your vengeful influence and power broken buttons.
My vengeful influence?
Yeah.
How am I vengeful?
Eventual?
Oh, eventual.
Eventual.
I think you said vengeful.
No.
Oh, eventual.
Who knows? But eventual, yeah.
Right. And by the way, so that was for the company. Everything I've done after that was purely to help the public. I didn't do anything in my own interest. But at that point, I thought, no joke, I love my employees, love them. And if you want to go on the Facebook page they set up, you can see how they talk about me on the Facebook page. They loved me also. I really cared about them. And even when I had enough money for myself, I still sweated it out for them. I thought about how are they going to support their families if FDA puts us under. But just to give you some idea of the stress that's involved. So we started getting approvals, but that's how I got started in politics. Then I just decided, and they never asked me for anything, I decided I'm going to contribute to Senator Specter's senatorial campaign. I became the largest donor to it out of gratitude for what he did without asking anything from us. I also donated to Congressman Greenwood. Now you could say, maybe they hope or expect that if someone is a means and is getting help, but they help everybody. They help everybody. You have money, you don't have money, help everybody. But when I said this justice for everyone in America, especially if you're wealthy, what I mean is that if someone gets prosecuted by the government and the person is completely innocent, if you're going to have to sell your home, you have to sell everything you have to pay for the lawyers, and if you're found not guilty, you don't get your money back. You're left broke.
Sure.
So, but if you're wealthy, you can afford to hire lawyers to defend yourself. But make no mistake about it, wealthy or not wealthy, the number one defense against the government is to be innocent, do things correctly.
Sure.
But on that, I also want to tell you a lesson I learned. It's not enough to be innocent. You have to document that you're innocent. You have to document the things along the way that you're doing so that no one can come back later and say, oh, you were doing it for that reason or that way. So very important, anybody who owns a business needs to know that. You must document that you're doing the right thing all along the way.
That makes sense.
Okay, so that's how I got involved in
Necessary
politics.
but dangerous, the government.
Yes, and helpful. I mean, we have one of our in the Torah, it's called Pirkei Avos, it's part of the Talmud, which is called Ethics of the Fathers. It said, pray for the welfare of the government, because without it, a person would eat his fellow alive. And look where there's breakdowns of government control in countries, Somalia, right?
Sure.
Mass murder going on, mass murder. So, no, the government is great, but the government can also gets too big, gets out of control, and gets individuals who wield the power of the government and don't care that they're hurting people that did nothing wrong.
Okay.
And by the way, I pay tons of taxes. I've heard, people have schemes for avoiding taxes. I don't do any of that stuff. I just pay my taxes. All right.
Respect,
That's how I got involved in politics.
Got it. How does it eventually become at a local level? When do you eventually become involved in Jackson politics, let's say? You live in Lakewood, you don't even live in Jackson. Why do you even get involved?
Right. Well, so what happened was this act of discrimination against the Orthodox Jews in Jackson was going on for about a year.
Okay.
And I had people calling me from Jackson with like anonymous numbers, Orthodox Jews, because they were afraid for their safety. But we're generally not violent people. If we have to defend ourselves, we will. And I think a substantial number of people in Lakewood now own guns. They never did. Back then, people never owned guns. In Orthodox Jews, almost no. I had a big gun collection. People would say, do you own a gun? He said, no, I own guns.
Okay.
Yeah, but
artillery. Yeah.
What's that?
War chests.
Whatever. That's my Second Amendment right.
Yeah.
But most Orthodox Jews didn't have guns until relatively recently.
Why?
Why?
They became fearful.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Because the rise of anti-Semitism and the attacks on Jews. Just this last week, you said you were in Crown Heights, Lubavitch.
Like 2 years ago, I saw a guy try to drive through
the door of the synagogue. He rammed his car, backed his car up, rammed it again, backed his car, rammed his car. You saw that, right?
I saw that.
If you're Jewish, you would think, well, maybe I need to have a gun. Right. Personally,
Smart for anyone. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Personally, I'm a one-man gang. I'm doing martial arts for 41 years. I have a third-degree brown belt in Ryukyu Kempo, first-degree black belt in Golden Fist martial arts, and now a third-degree black belt in MMA. But my certificates are downstairs if you want to.
I believe you.
But you saw the gym.
Yeah, the gym was really cool.
Yeah, I can send you great pictures.
But a fist versus a Glock, it's good to stay armed, right?
Yeah, right. Now, not everybody should have a gun, and people want to carry guns on the street, and that's tricky. It's very tricky, because I once, when I lived in Philadelphia, Center City, Philadelphia, I wasn't an Orthodox Jew at the time, and someone was breaking the window, and I got my gun, and the thought of shooting a person caused this nauseous feeling in me, nausea to the base of my soul. So you don't want to go pulling a gun on the street. Sure. Someone insults you, threatens you, walk away, run away, drive away. Just you're right, I'm wrong. Just live. Anyway,
Jackson,
so Jackson, they were really afraid. And for a year, there were people, Orthodox Jews were calling me, begging me to get involved, because I'm known in the community as someone who has that political juice and the experience running operations, like I did in running a corporation that manufactured 2.4 billion tablets and capsules a year, 800 employees, $100 million in research and development. I know to run operations, and I learned. I came in with some skills as a medical doctor, and also in my biophysics, my research doing biophysics. But I learned, or refined it or developed it tremendously. 24 years running this corporation. So after about a year of them calling me, I really couldn't take it anymore. They're suffering. It makes it.
When you say they're suffering, what's happening? They're getting beaten on the sidewalks, they're getting jumped, they're getting attacked.
No, like
what's
I said,
happening?
they're getting harassed.
In what ways?
As I said, they have inspectors looking in their windows